I'm getting ready, you see. This is my Ugandan top. This is what Africans wear in Uganda. Not like this one. Some of them have brown ones and black ones and green ones, but usually have loads of coloured golden, what's it down there? So, but in Uganda I won't be wearing pants, we're very short, so it's nearly time. I always try and, every year, to keep my shorts on until I go away. It never works. The last week is always too cold to do that, so I always end up with the pants on. That song that last song you played there, Life of the World, goodness me, what a fitting song to play there. So just get the computer working. I have one wonderful computer, it's a laptop, but unfortunately the keyboard, the W and S keys don't work anymore. So I've got a separate keyboard. And it's double security in a way, because my password contains a W. So unless you've got this keyboard that adds onto it, you won't get in. Okay, excellent. Okay, I'm a confession to make before we start. I went to a Halloween do yesterday. All day and night. I know, dodgy, isn't it? For those who are not sure what Halloween is, really, it is the night before All Hallows Day when the dead in Christ are remembered. However, it's been taken over by the powers of darkness over the years, and now it's a celebration of witches and goblins and ghouls and all sorts of things. However, for those of you who know me, or those one of my hobbies is I'm a signalman on the M3 Railway, and they're running a Halloween special on Saturday. I tossed and turned as to whether I should go and do it, that's my duty that day. And I thought, well, I know what, I'll go, I'll be in the signal box. When the train goes past, I'll pray for all the people on that train. When we come back in, I'll pray for all the people on that train. In John 1:5 it says, the light shines in the darkness can never extinguish it. I can stand there, I can pray for the people in that situation. I didn't take part. I think I was on the station platform, it's full of dismembered heads hanging. It's horrible actually. I was actually quite upset when I went down there. But I stayed in that single box and I prayed the train came in, prayed the train left again. It wasn't easy. I thought it would be easy. It wasn't. It was hard work. Especially when it came to prayer and for some reason the words had gone out of your head. But I persevered and I did it all and it was hard, but now I'm happy. But what have we got to be happy about? What have we got to be happy about? We are servants of the Most High God. We are followers of His Son, the risen Christ. Buddha, he's dead. Hare Krishna, he's dead. Muhammad, he's dead. But Christ is alive.
Amen.
Amen. And that's why we're happy. That's what we've got to be happy about. We are friends of Christ. In John 15:14 it says, you are my friends if you do what I command. Question for you, are you friends with Christ? Are you Jesus' friends? Well, what is a friend? You can say you're friends with somebody, but you may not be. If you met them the first time, you're not a friend, are you? You've met them, you're an acquaintance. You may have met them 10 times, but not necessarily a friend. A friend is someone you know well. A friend is someone you talk to frequently. When's the last time you talked to Jesus? It's someone you enjoy being with. Someone you trust. Someone you share your problems and your happiness with. When was the last time you talked to him? When was the last time you did these things? When was the last time you thanked him for all he's done for you? Or do you just whine and complain and ask? Because quite often it's easy when we pray to ask for things. But when you actually pray and say, Lord, I'm so grateful for what you've done for me. I'm so grateful you went to the cross and you died for me. I'm so grateful for your presence in my life. People might say, I'm poor. Matthew chapter 6, verse 26 to 27 says, look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, yet their heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? You might say, I have no clothes. It goes on to say, why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow. They do not labour or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendour was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass and field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown in the fire, will he not clothe you, you of little faith. You might say, I've nothing to eat. He goes on to say, don't worry about what you've got to eat. Your Father knows what you need and will give it to you at the right time. What should I do? Should seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Do you know him? Is he your friend? I'm here standing in this African top, and this all started a long time ago now, in 2004, when I went away with the African Children's Choir. I would say to any of you young people, if you get a chance to do that, take it. Yeah, take it, go away and go on mission for 12 months. It will change your life completely and change your perspective on life. While we were away, we lived by faith and prayer. If you wanted something, you prayed. If there's a need, you prayed for it. And we saw God answer many, many prayers while we were there. Within a month of being there in Vancouver, one of the children I was looking after that night in that family was ill, and I carried him to bed and put him to bed. And the following day he was covered in spots, chicken pox. He got thousands all over his body, these things. This was scary, because I never had chicken pox in my life. In fact, none of the people, one person in the team had chicken pox. All the children hadn't. And we were living on a bus. Everyone sat in one space. We're going to get chicken pox, aren't we? We prayed about it. You know what? One of the child got chicken pox, everyone else was clear. It doesn't believe, it's beyond belief, is that? Another occasion we were travelling, we were in Alaska, travelling down from Fairbanks to Delta Junction. 100 miles to drive on the bus, and our bus driver suddenly said, pray. Get everyone to pray. The bus is slowing down. He's got, he said, well, I'm flat out, my foot's on the floorboards, should do 70. I'm flat out, I'm now at 65, and it's slowing every mile it gets a bit slower. So we all prayed, and the kids prayed, and we were praying going down the road, the bus gets slower and slower and slower. We're down to 50, 45, 40. We get to Delta Junction, the place no one has ever been before. We know we're going to a church there, I have no idea where this church is. So everyone's looking out the windows trying to find this church. We're doing 30 miles an hour now, and nothing is happening. And all of a sudden someone spots the church on the side of the road, so the driver swings the wheel around to enter the building, and the engine cut out. Now, in America, a great big ditch at the side of the road with driveways across, and we were heading for the ditch. But our driver on the wheel and got straight in, and we got ground to a halt. Here we are in Alaska. We're like 3,000 miles from really serious inhabitation. Our driver rang up a place in America, the diesel company, and the diesel company said, well, funny enough, we've got a chap in Fairbanks who come past you tomorrow, we'll call and have a look. I mean, how's that going to happen without prayer, all this? And he came along, and just a nut on the governor cut loose, happened to move fine, away we went. All this thing started with prayer. Prayer is most important. In James chapter 1, oh wait, here we go, James again, isn't it? Verse 5 to 6, if anyone of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must first believe and not doubt. Believe and not doubt. Have faith in God. You know, there's another situation, that's the final bit of the testimony I'll tell you. While we're in Canada, we travelled from Alaska all the way down Alaska down the highway. We entered on the towns on the way down. We finished a little town called Medicine Hat, just north of the American border. My job on tour was I was the technical man. I did all the sound and lighting and bits and pieces. And we arrived at this church to set up. And we like to use our own equipment because it's much easier. You're used to it. You wander in, an hour, complete setup, video, lights, a lot. This little Baptist church is weird. It's shaped like a cube. And the stage was a triangle. And the seats went up in tiers, like in the cinema, went up about 60, 70 feet to the back of the building. And it was difficult. We couldn't use our equipment because it was down on the floor down there, and people sat up there. And their equipment wouldn't link with our equipment. And I struggled and struggled and struggled. and eventually got it done, but it was hard work. And I sat in the corner and I cried. I cried. I could not continue. At that time, I felt that it'd been so hard to do this was, I didn't have what was in me to run that concert that night, so I prayed and said, Lord, if it's going to happen tonight, you've got to do it. You know what? It was the best concert I've ever had. And that's the thing I've learned since then. Whenever I come on Sunday morning, before I do anything, sound-wise, I pray. I say, Lord, you do it. I can't do it. Use my hands to do these things. Do you talk to him? Do you talk to God? There's a song by Darlene Check, and there's 2 verses go, your praise is always on my lips. Your word is living in my heart. And I will praise you with a new song. My soul will bless you, Lord. You fill my life with greater joy, and I delight myself in you. And I will praise you with a new song. My soul will bless you, Lord. Is that you? Is his praise always on your lips? Is his praise always on your lips, or do you just sing it on the Sunday and then go home and forget about it? Is his word living here? If it's living there, then it won't have an effect on you whatsoever. Another song she did has this verse in, hear these praises from a grateful heart. Each time I think of you, the praises start. I love you, Jesus, so much. Is that you? Is his praise always on your lips? Is his word living in your heart? Why are we grateful? Why do we praise him? Well, because he calls us his friends. Remember who he is. He was there at the beginning of everything. He is the Word of God. John says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. He was with God in the beginning. He is the creator of all things. John goes on to say, through him things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. And in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 we read, then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness. He is the King of kings and the Lord of lords.
Amen.
Revelation 19:16 says, on his robe and on his thigh he has a name written, King of kings and Lord of lords. The title indicates someone who has the power to exercise absolute dominion over all his realm. In the case of Lord Jesus, the realm is all of creation. And yet he calls us his friend. Can you believe it? Somebody who is not just the Queen of England, who wouldn't come and say hello to you, or the President of America, or maybe the King of the world possibly, but the King of all creation is your friend. Can you really believe it? I stand amazed in the presence of Jesus of Nazarene and wonder how he could love me, a sinner, condemned, unclean. Do you know him? I've been a bit uncertain here. I mean, this has been written for a while now, but all of a sudden Louisa started putting things on Facebook, and Johnny mentioned it. There was a long sermon done by a pastor in America called Pastor Lockridge in 1976. It's a very good one. That's My King. You may have read it, you may have heard it. It's really good to read through. This is just the end part of it. He says, I wish I could describe him to you. He's indescribable. He's incomprehensible. He's invincible. He's irresistible. You can't get him out of your mind. You can't get it off your hand. You can't outlive him, and you can't live without him. The Pharisees couldn't stand him, but they found they couldn't stop him. Pilate couldn't find any fault in him. Herod couldn't kill him. Death couldn't handle him, and the grave couldn't hold him. That's my King. He came to earth as a man and suffered a painful death, beaten, mistreated, abused, and a public execution just for you and me. Are you his friend? Do you know him? But how do we know he exists? I've never seen him. Well, how do you know the wind exists? You can't see it. You can feel it pushing against you when it blows, but you can't see it. How about electricity? You can't see that, but you stick the things inside the plug, you'll feel it. Like I do. There are many people in this country who are prepared to die rather than sorry, the words are gone now. Who are prepared to die rather than to deny Jesus. They were prepared to die. They were hung. They were chopped up. They were tortured, and they believed because they believed in Jesus. They had faith. Faith. What is faith? Faith. In Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance in what we do not see. You cannot, faith is something that you have in something you cannot see. You have faith in the wind because you know it's there, but you can't see it. But likewise, you can't see God, but you have faith in God. People say, if I see it, I will believe it. No, if you believe it, you will see it. The other way around. Part of another song, not one of Darlene Check's, it's one that I have. It says, I never knew you, but I know your heart. We've never spoken, but I know your voice. I've never seen you, but I know you're here. Foundations laid, the way is paved. Now I walk in the brighter day. In Hebrews chapter 11, by faith Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith Enoch was taken from this life, so as he did not experience death. By faith Noah, when warned about things yet unseen, not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family. By faith Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, he obeyed and went, though he did not know where he was going. By faith he made a home in the promised land, like a stranger in a foreign country. And by faith even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children. By faith Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac, his one of his sons, as a sacrifice. By faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. By faith Jacob, when he was dying, blessed each of Joseph's sons and worshipped his length on the top of his staff. By faith Joseph, when his end was near, spoke about the exodus of the Israelites. By faith Moses' parents hid him for 3 months after he was born, because they saw he was no ordinary child. By faith Moses, when he was grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be ill-treated amongst the people of God, rather than to enjoy fleeting pleasure of sin. By faith he left Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. By faith the people passed the Red Sea and onto dry land. By faith the walls of Jericho fell, after the army marched around them for 7 days. Imagine that, God saying, walk around that city for 7 days, and I will give you the city. Oh, have faith. It will come to pass if God says so. By faith the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed by those who were disobedient. This is all in the Bible, in Hebrews chapter 11. You can read it for yourself. And what more should I say? I don't have time to say about Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, and David and Samuel, the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, gave what was promised, and shut the mouths of lions, quenched the fury of the flames, and escaped the edge of the sword, whose weakness was turned to strength, and who became powerful in battle and routed foreign armies. By faith we meet every Sunday morning. If we have no faith, why do we come here? By faith Johnny became a pastor in this church. By faith I gave up a year of my life to travel to America with the African Children's Choir. By faith many of our church stand up here and preach. By faith missionaries travel to far off lands. Many have suffered and died to spread the gospel to the lost. How do we get this faith then? How do we get this faith in God and his Son, Christ Jesus? What must we do? Well, how do you get to know someone? How do they become your friend? You get to know them. You talk to them. You enjoy being with them. I'll be friends with, aren't we? All these things we must be doing. Is it easy? No. Friendships never are. Friendships take time to build. Think of the friendship you have with somebody and how long it took you to build that friendship. Remember the wise and foolish builds in the Bible in Matthew chapter 7. Therefore anyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, the wind blew and beat against the house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell down with a great crash. The version in Luke is a bit more explicit. This is what I remember Johnny preaching on some while ago now. In Luke chapter 6:48 it says, "They're like a man building a house who dug down deep and laid the foundations on the rock. When the flood came, the torrent struck the house, but could not shake it because it's well built." He dug down deep. It's very rare you find rocks on the surface. We build houses around here, you don't just build on the surface, you dig down to find the rock. Imagine that the rock was 20 feet down under the ground. There would be a lot of work required to dig down to that rock 20 feet down. How hard would that be? But the results would be well worth it. Therefore, to get a friend like Jesus, you need to dig down deep. Dig down deep into his word and into prayer time. Matthew 16:18 says, "I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." You need a firm foundation. Jesus needed the foundation for the church that was firm. Another verse of the song, "My feet are planted on this rock, and I will not be shaken. My hope, it comes from you alone, my Lord, and my salvation." Are you planted on the rock? Have you taken time to dig down and lay firm foundation? Your praise is always on my lips, your words living in my heart. Is this you? Hear these praises from a grateful heart. Each time I think of you, the praises start. Is this you? Have you taken the time to find a friend? Hebrews chapter 11 continues. There were others who were tortured, refusing to be released so that they may gain an even better resurrection. Some faced jeers of flogging and even chains and imprisonment. They were put to death by stoning, they were stoned in two, and they were killed by the sword. These are people in Jesus' time who refused to deny him as their friend. Is this you? Is he really your friend? Would you give your life for him? It's easy to say, but this is easier. He says, well, if this is an easy thing for you to do. Just go and tell people about me. Get me some more friends. This is the day. Do it now.